cooking later, aren't we?
It is, isn't it? Yes.
We're going to go to the park.
But don't worry, never fear, it's going to rain tomorrow and for the rest of the week. So that's cool.
Listen, I want to ask everybody a question before we get started, right? So the last week or so, I've been really good with keeping the kitchen clean. However knackered I've been, before I went to bed, I've washed up. It had an amazing effect on my mental health. Come down, feel so much clearer, get so much done. Last night, I left it. I just couldn't be asked. And this morning, there it is looking at me. And I hate it. And I hate myself for leaving it. Does anybody else ever do that? Because at work, nobody says that they ever leave the washing up the night before. Did your mum ever when you were a kid?
I don't ever remember her washing up. I don't remember there being anything to wash up.
Is this totally unique to me? Does anybody else leave the washing up from the night before? Ellen. Hello, Nicola. Hello, Alison. Hello, Helen. Somebody say they leave the washing up the day before.
That will come through. Good morning, Blake
So
Gray,
annoyed
Layla
with
Bazian,
myself.
Billy
No,
May Ruffle,
can't.
Emma McDonnell, Lou Warnock, Clodagh Egan. So
Oh,
what have we
Zoe
got?
Griffiths-Brown does. Thank
April
you, Zoe.
Hill does.
Sharon does.
Zoe Griffiths-Brown does. Oh, you've said that. Always Nad, says Nicola Higgins.
Always.
Tim Reed, I always do.
Oh, brilliant. And do you notice the real difference?
Started your podcast, Tim, last night.
Do you notice the difference when you do and when you don't?
What do you mean? Of course, there's a pile.
No, but like to your mental health. Because it used to not bother me, but now it really bothers me.
Well, just before setting this up, that's why I just wanted to clear everything out of the way, because it does. It just clutters you. If your line of vision is cluttered, then you're going to be cluttered in your heart and cluttered in your mind, aren't
But
you?
honestly, I cleared up the kitchen. Okay, we use this kitchen a lot because we were filming for the No Name Sunday show and stuff, and everybody eats different. But I cleared it up 5 times yesterday. I was just looking at it. And actually on Sunday, we're going to do a big live around this. What chores do you really... Because apparently it causes big dramas in relationships.
But there are also some chores that people really like. I'm just going to flip you over to 4G because I can see we're a bit fuzzy.
I like Hoover.
Hopefully that'll be a bit better.
Yeah, Stacey.
Leslie Ann, sometimes especially soaking, baking. Yeah, can I say the one thing... Well, we should talk about this at the weekend, but the one thing that turns me off washing is the pots and pans. I actually find plates... cutlery,
Nobody likes pots
knives,
and pans.
bowls, cups,
That
glasses.
is the murder because you have to get a Brillo pad out, you have to scrub it.
Especially a burnt one,
You
though.
get wet. Blech.
But even the pots and pans can be nice, but then it becomes the trays in the oven that you've cooked chicken on. That's such a headache.
So this Sunday we are going to do a big thing on cleaning.
Just to let you know, members, lots of cards are going out. Look, there's a pile of them. Look at the huge pile. Don't show the address.
Overton, I know that.
A pile of them all going out later today. I think we're getting a little bit... I think Nadia's feeling I'm mansplaining a bit today, but actually sometimes it's just saying what I'm worried about, that's all. Helen Groves, I hate all chores. Vicky Edwards, you guys have a dishwasher, but you can't put pots and pans in it, can you?
Oh no, most of the stuff, because we just have so much stuff because of all the cooking I do.
Oh, Vasilika,
It's just,
Vasilika O'Flaherty, I've never seen your name before. What a wonderful name. I wash up as I go. Oh God, I'd never let it pile up. I have OCD.
But that can be another... I mean, if you have actual OCD, that's hell on earth, isn't it? I've got a friend with OCD and it's just... Oh, I think that's such a hard thing to live with. I'd like somewhere in between. I'd like to be a little bit of a neat freak, a little bit, but not too much.
Jessica Frost, do I see it's someone's... Jessica Frost, it's your birthday? Is it someone's birthday? I think it might be. I think I saw someone just say happy birthday to you. Jackie Valino, I just did your card. It's funny seeing all your names when we've just done your cards. Faith Goodman, don't the girls help with washing up? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But it's hard with all teenagers, isn't it, to get them motivated?
Actually,
yes, they do.
At the moment, I'm not... Maddie is often not here. And Kiki, at the moment, I'm not asking her to do anything around the house. It's such a big change going to school. She has a really long journey. She has homework. I just think, no. Just come in, do your homework. You know, she gets to bed really early and we eat quite late. So, no, they don't really... Unless we're all having a big meal together and then I'll say, come on, can we just all do it together?
Or if your family come over.
Yeah.
I find it really therapeutic, actually, after a sort of family lunch, just to kind of... I deal with it like a military sort of, rendition almost. I kind of go from that side. Anyway, we'll talk about all that at the weekend.
Scott Church, thoughts on the new Britney Spears
I
documentary?
was so bored I fell asleep.
Zoe was just saying she loved it over on Instagram.
Oh.
And I was just saying on Instagram, actually, we made the mistake, like lots of people have, we watched the wrong one. So we watched one, which I found very upsetting, Britney versus Spears. And then yesterday, I don't know what one we watched yesterday, but it's the actual one.
Yeah, yesterday we watched the one that we reacted to, but the one we saw the day before was the original New York Times, thinking it was Britney versus Spears.
Yeah.
And the one we'd seen way back when was the CNN one.
So actually, we both became a bit uncomfortable with watching it yesterday because when I reacted to the trailer and I was really excited about it, I was under the misapprehension that Britney was actually authoring the film, and it was really clever editing, wasn't it? Because it made it look like, because they used her voice, that she was going to be talking to us, and also it made it look like the lawyers were her lawyers, but actually they weren't. The whole thing was, I found, a bit underhand. So we actually stopped watching it halfway through, so that's why you won't see the review of it. Because the thing we were reviewing was the wrong one.
I don't necessarily think it's underhand, but I think I said it in our reaction to the trailer. I think there's an enormous sort of side industry developing about documentaries about her. And actually, everything we know is actually pretty much in the public realm. I mean, let's just assume it's pretty awful with her dad, and let's just assume she's heading to the right place. Yeah.
Blueberry Jam 177 Gaming. I always do my pans first to get them done.
That's like me eating my veg.
That's genius.
Like...
I'm going to start doing that.
Can I say something you do that's really annoying is when you wash things up and put them on the left, which is traditionally where the dirty washing goes. And
Yeah,
then
but if
the dirty
somebody was standing drying up, I
and
wouldn't
then
have
the dirty
to.
washing piles up, and then you can't distinguish.
You know what I mean?
two.
When the right-hand one is so full that there's no room to put it on, you don't want to start drying up halfway through to haven't. So I put it both sides.
Anthony Cotton kicks off the political frustrations of the day. I'm a Tory voter, and Johnson needs to go. And I saw your video recently. You said don't blame the people, but I agree. But I blame the government for not preparing and the media as we have been scared.
Exactly.
I think you say something really
verbatim
important.
what I was just saying on Instagram, and I'm going to do an Instagram post about this because Mark and I have been saying this all week. Their strategy is to blame us for absolutely everything. You know, they really are. And actually the country is breaking down. It is. You know, people aren't getting food to food banks. People aren't getting to hospitals. A surgeon stuck yesterday, couldn't get to do the operations. These are just, you know, that's one surgeon. Imagine how many people. This morning, Mark went yesterday to Sainsbury's. So much not on the so many things missing from the shelves. Lee, I don't know if you're here now. Lee was saying his mum went yesterday, couldn't get pasta sauce, couldn't get meat. You know, when you start, when we get to the point where people can't drive to work and can't get food, that's a pretty dire straits for a country. And I'm still so shocked that we're not marching in the streets up to Westminster saying, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you playing at? But they're very clever. They do gaslight you and make you think it's actually all your fault.
Well, they haven't gaslit me, and I hope they haven't gaslit any of you guys. But I mean, if I see another Tory, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Boris sanctioned the one journalist that could question him yesterday. Then he trotted out the same line that we've heard from every beyond irritating government minister you've ever seen in your life. The same generic face appearing, saying it's subsiding. That now someone phoned up LBC this morning and said there are no queues at a lot of petrol stations because there's no petrol.
They're finally, yesterday we were saying this, finally today, some of the journalists that are out and about are actually, some of them need to be bloody sacked, I'll tell you. It's actually because the pumps are closed. That's why there's no
God, the
queues.
detective work
Who's going to queue for a petrol station that doesn't have any bloody petrol?
And a teacher was saying she headed out at 2 a.m. in the morning with £30 in her tank to find somewhere to fill up. She found one place, she waited, got to the pumps and they closed down. And then she had only 10 miles left in her tank to get home. And this is the problem that people have got.
This is the
people are now at a point where they haven't got enough petrol to consider going and waiting in a queue. And not everyone has those cars that actually turn off. And here's, you know, one of the problems with cars where the engine turns off and comes back on is you use more of a surge of petrol or fuel for the turning on than you do if you were to just stay sat and chugging in traffic. And the other thing that was being talked about this morning, which I think is quite interesting, is we now have these really high. Has anyone else got? You have hypersensitive cars that tell you everything that's going on in the car. So back in the day, you just saw a really mottled old little dial, didn't you? That just sort of sat like that. Well, by all accounts, as soon as you get down to the red area, you've got something like 30 to 40 miles still left in your tank. I remember Jeremy Clarkson doing that on Top Gear. I do love him. Him and the little guy sort of drove off and decided to set off with a tank of petrol that was on the thing gauge and see how far they got. One of them got about 60 miles. So that shows you. I mean, there's still something in there.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
It's only me. Our local Tesco keeps bringing back limits on certain products, like during lockdown. We've had it on milk, eggs, bread, water and baked beans in the last month.
Limits. I mean,
Limits. My friend Kaz, who works with the elderly, she said, as she goes around to the house, she goes, it's really awful because so many of them are really scared that they're not going to be able to get food. I mean, it's plunging some people back into that, the elderly, into that fear of like the war. And yet he's still high in the polls. My sister showed me this film yesterday. I'm going to post it actually, and it was a Spanish TV show. And there's this guy, and he's subtitled, and he's saying,
haven't watched Squid Game
and he
yet,
said,
no.
the girls have, they loved it. I don't fancy it. It looks really
No.
hard.
I just posted on the Popcorn Junkies about it, but yeah, I'm going to watch it.
And yeah, so he's saying, oh, look at England. Yes, they wanted to stop free movement and now they can't move. And he was laughing so much, I thought he was going to have a heart attack.
Look, Bobby Jackson, did you see the idiot filling a white plastic bag with fuel, but then it had a small hole in it?
Oh,
you are joking.
No. I mean, what you've got to remember, guys, is a lot of people that are going with jerry cans and water bottles are people who can't get their car to the petrol station.
Yeah, I mean...
So again, the government keep whipping that up, these people with bottles. Like, I've heard lots of people saying they've had to go and get stuff in a bottle because their car has broken down, looking for petrol.
Well, I've got 2 jerry cans that as soon as I can, I'll probably go up on foot and fill up just to be safe. I love the fact that Ashley...
Because we can't drive far enough, not just to be safe. We haven't got petrol. That's because we can't drive to get it.
Well, no, we can, but you just can't sit in the queues. I mean, the problem is, as soon as a place gets petrol, the queues form again. So the reason Boris and these Tories are going, it's under control, is because most places are actually out of petrol. I recognise in the more rural environments where there's an enormous Tesco's in a sort of rural setting with not a lot. The reason there's petrol there is not a lot of cars can get there. That's why. So yeah, it's Faith Goodman says, drive without acceleration or sharp braking to save fuel, which, can I say, I'm already doing. I'm keeping it sort of, not accelerated as you go down very slight inclines so that you're just, I can't believe
Simona, hi from Germany. Simona, we hear Germany, France, Spain. Everyone that's ringing up says there is no fuel crisis whatsoever
in Europe.
And Europe, and the supermarket shelves are fully stocked.
Yeah.
So when you hear them coming out over and over again and saying this is the pandemic, it's not. A guy rang up today on Nick Ferrari, and he actually gave really good insight to another layer. Even Nick was quite surprised by this, of what's going on with drivers. Apparently the government brought in, he said basically it's just a money-making exercise where they have to do this something like 35 hours of, they have to pay for it. And then it seemed to be, it wasn't very good at explaining what it was, 35 hours of some sort of extra something, but it's not driving and it's not practical. It's like in a classroom. He said you could literally go to sleep and nobody would mind. And then you get this certificate that you have to get yearly or 5 yearly. And if anyone knows the detail of this, then you can say. And he said loads of drivers left because of it. And it's the bureaucracy. Because the other problem is DVLA are not answering anyone on anything. So you have to, I think, keep reapplying with a heavy goods vehicle licence. And if you haven't within a certain time, you immediately drop your licence. And he said, so that's happening to loads of people because it's happened to me. I'm about to lose it because I've gone out of the time because you can't call them. I filled in the form, they sent back the form, they'd done something wrong with it, it had to go back. So the bureaucracy around the drivers is a big problem. And then he said, and Nick Ferrari was loving that and he was listening, oh yes, this is terrible, this is outrageous, this is dreadful. And he goes, and of course the other thing is, because of Brexit, he said, a job that would have taken us 3 days to go to Europe and back now takes us 7. So financially, it's made things kind of worse because I don't think the pay increases.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it just seems like every avenue with the driver problem that you go down is a block. It's like, well, how are we going to get around that? So like you keep saying, Mark, this isn't going to just suddenly sort itself out. It's so enmeshed, the problem with it, and stretches across so many different areas.
I agree.
That it's not. We're not going to in a few weeks have drivers.
I mean, the Times today is reporting that potentially this will be rumbling on for a good month because there's no short-term solution because there's people who filled up with, say, the maximum they could fill up with £30 worth. By the time the local stations are full again, they will be getting towards the end of that 30 miles, and so they'll need to go again. So personally, there's an illogicality to the idea that you just fill up a petrol station and it's solved. It isn't. It's solved for the duration of that petrol running out, which will run out quickly. Because the longer, what they need to do is be getting lots of stuff in now when people are still on their first 30 miles. And do it that way. But if we're waiting until next week and they've got the army on standby, how long on standby does everyone have to be?
And anyway, the army on standby isn't a promise.
No,
it's not.
It's a maybe, so they don't look like the country's in tatters.
Even when it happens, it's not going to sort stuff out.
Can I Well, just firstly, I just wanted to read Bobby Jackson, who says some papers already have the headline that Boris is to save Christmas.
Fuck off! You've caused the problem.
If this was North Korea, we would be calling that state propaganda. It is state propaganda where the right-wing press will not harbour the idea that Brexit has in any way contributed to this clusterfuck of a disaster. And as the Tories just keep coming out, hoping this will just fan away.
That's what Faith said. Boris is crossing his fingers with the fuel crisis.
Yes.
I don't know if you heard him yesterday on his speech, the day before. And he said, the fuel, petrol crisis. It's almost like he didn't know about it. It's like they're not bothering him with it.
I think they're using the fuel crisis as cloud cover to avoid everyone talking about the chicken crisis that's incoming. But like you say, Minky Moo, we were late last night, stuck behind a queue for fuel at Asda's. When we got home, Boris said on the radio that people needed to just buy normally and no shortage. My 11-year-old looked at me and laughed.
Your 11-year-old is very smart.
Yeah.
Vicky Edwards, the queues around here is a danger. A lot of the smaller petrol stations are located near schools, and so it's dangerous. The dangers of having the cars lying in the street.
We've got that.
See what I mean? It's just a knock-on effect. The tendrils of this go on. Was it also you, Vicky, that was saying that your dad is a heavy goods vehicle driver? I think it was you, and I'm paraphrasing. She said, he's treated like crap. People hate them. People are annoyed with them, and they don't. Now we're starting to realise how important they are for every single part of our lives.
Can I just read that out? Because I'm chuffed by that. Bailey says, love the divine print behind you.
Mark did that for me.
I made that.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Just show it in close up. Yeah, listen, Denise Welsh, I just want to say about Denise Welsh. I haven't said anything because obviously we've been texting the last couple of days and I didn't know if it was public knowledge yet or not, but somebody's just said there that she said it on Insta. Oh my God, she's absolutely heartbroken. You all know how close she was to her dad and how wonderful. And I know that Denise is, she's got a huge heart and she will love messages and any messages. And I think it's always, because I think a lot of you knew him from Instagram, so any nice thoughts or feelings about what you thought about him, I think will.
I had a sense of him. From her posts.
Yeah.
We'll be getting to Katie Price in a moment. Loz B, Russell Kane has a good idea. I've thought this all along, and that's to only let everyone who has a quarter of a tank of petrol onto the forecourt. People look at your gauge, and if it's over a quarter, you don't get any.
But how are they going to police?
Well, to be honest with you, in a petrol station, if you've got 3 people, 1 is on the till and 2 are out on the forecourt. I mean, the problem is...
I wouldn't want to be facing angry people on the forecourt.
Well, I was about to say, as soon as you're on the forecourt.
I mean, people in petrol stations are treated like shit. We've got one down the road and I fear for them. I get upset whenever I go there. It's like our lovely guys down in the corner shop. The disgusting way people talk to them. And they get violent and angry. I mean, look at the way now, when we were kids... Can you imagine a petrol station having to have bulletproof glass and all of that? I mean, they're sitting targets there. And then can you imagine, no, that's a quarter. No, it's not. Who's saying?
Yeah,
Oh my God, no.
disputing a quarter, I guess so. Kerry S,
people in
army on the
danger.
forecourt. If your red light is on, you get petrol. If not, go back home. I went up to talk to, I know the guys at our local petrol station. I went in and I said, look, can you give me a nod and a wink? Do you know when you're getting your next delivery? He said, for certain, we're not getting one for 2-3 days.
He goes, but they're not telling us anything.
But they're not telling them anything. So in 2 to 3 days, everyone will have run out of petrol and all the queues will be here again this weekend. I mean, it's
But also,
just...
we've got to stop saying the army because, you know, listening to that general the other day, the army really isn't available.
Sabrina Neal, what do you guys think about the theory that there is no shortage? They just need to get rid of old petrol before it goes off that didn't get used during lockdown. I keep going back to this idea that
Does it go off?
It can go off, yeah. I mean, I'm using
Interesting.
pretty substandard chainsaw petrol, you know,
Oh.
and that's why I came in and I said I can feel the engine is labouring under the kind of, you know, the sort of, what do you call it, the swill
I
of a
suppose,
jerry can.
Sabrina, we can't completely dismiss that if that's the thing that it goes off. But even then, more lies to us.
Well, yeah, no, and also, I think that we know
does
that
go
there's
off,
no... This is the bit that really gets me with the government. We can understand that there is no shortage of fuel in the country. We understand that. There's no contradiction here. But if you can't get it at your petrol station, there's a shortage of fuel for the ordinary person. There's no shortage of fuel for the bloody, you know, oil companies and the refineries and all that kind of stuff. So it's just...
Yeah, we did see the thing of the knife being pulled exactly, and that's why I was thinking of that when we were talking about people checking people's fuel gauges. I just think it puts people in danger.
Was there a happy birthday?
It was like it was the same through the
Grace,
pandemic when they were saying, "Oh, bus drivers have to tell people to put their mask on." Have you seen what people are like to bus drivers? It's all very well for you to say this, the government, but you pay people shit. They're treated like shit, and then you want to put them in, you know, the line of fire as well.
Okay, well, that's Fuel Madness continues. Grace, we'll sing you a happy birthday at the end. Happy birthday, though, for your 50th. Katie Price is struggling, and this is quite a tragic story, really, isn't it? I mean...
Tragic.
Let me qualify this. You must never drink and drive, and I'm talking as someone who's been there.
Learned your lesson.
Learned my lesson.
Got sober
it
from
was
it.
awful. There is no justification. There is no explanation. There is no rationalisation for the decisions to do that. But I think you were struck more by how this sits within a tapestry of issues for...
Yeah,
Just
I
gotta
mean,
go to the
I don't know Katie Price well, but I like her, and I worked with her a fair amount on Loose Women, and we had some really big chats, and I like her enormously. She has loads of very bizarre behaviour, I understand that, and there's lots of things that she does that I wouldn't particularly do myself, but I think she's been really, really struggling. I think, and like Mark says, you know, Mark was, caught drunk driving, I don't know, 16, 17 years ago, and it was the turning point for him, and he got well. And he, you know, it scared the shit out of him. He didn't hurt anyone. He only hurt himself and our relationship for a while and all of that. And he used that to get sober. And what I'm praying out of this, thank God nobody was hurt. So, and of course, it's the most terrible thing. But what I'm really hoping, I've met her brother and her mother as well, and they're a really lovely family, you know. And she's a great mum. And she has been so shat upon by people, you can't even believe it. Like friends, boyfriends, and I think she's got to the end of the line. I mean, we always say to her when she's on Loose, we always say to her, oh, you know, Katie, stop with all the surgery, stop with this, stop with that. You don't need to do it, and you don't need... I mean, just the amount of surgery that she's been having. Again, I mean, how anyone can think that this woman is not struggling with her mental health with all that's going on.
DJ, anyone looking for sympathy for Katie Price wants to remember that drink drivers kill. I had a friend and his friend was killed by a drink driver. There's no excuse. She already has multiple...
Yeah,
You're absolutely right.
We totally agree. We
right.
totally agree. That's why we began this chat by saying there is no excuse. Yeah. It's horrific.
It's really important that you don't jump, and also as with some skin in the game here, really, in terms of the awful kind of behaviour of myself. It's really important not to jump to the polemic end of just, if we're talking about it, we've condemned the behaviour, clearly condemned the behaviour.
So very first, and just to make that clear again, we don't have any sympathy for people that drink drive. And I say, thank God nobody was hurt in this. Thank God, because it just as easily could have been. It could have been, you know, such an awful tragedy. Parking that now to one side, as Mark did, it was the turning point for Mark. He you know, he's got sober and he stayed sober. And obviously she has got huge issues with drink or whatever. I mean, her family have said that in the post that they've done. And I think what you want in a situation like that is like, how can we make the good out of this terrible situation? She's got 4 children that she absolutely adores. And I just pray that she will get well, that she'll be able to do something with her demons with this, because this is very, very scary stuff, drink driving. This is no joke. I mean, I liken drink driving to walking down a road with a live bomb. That's how dangerous it is. But she's in a mess. Her mental health is in an absolute mess, and she does need support for that, I think.
Sheila Roberts, expressing empathy for Katie doesn't excuse her behaviour. It's an attempt to try and understand where it comes from.
Because, so if you throw did anybody see, what was the drama, Mark? Time, was it called, where it illustrated... So, for instance, the character was a decent man, I only watched the first episode, who made the terrible mistake of drinking and driving.
And killing somebody.
And he killed somebody. And he goes to prison. And prison isn't always the right place, I don't think. I think there has to be some sort of justice for the families and the people that are left behind. But what do we want? What do we want out of these tragedies? Surely we want a better, safer world. And I think if somebody is using huge amount of drink and drugs to medicate themselves because of other stuff, you've got to go to, you know, it's better. And I'm not just talking about Katie Price, I'm talking about anybody. I can think of somebody else that I knew years ago he was about 20. He had the most chaotic and awful life. His mother was the most terrible alcoholic. He'd grown up around it. He was really trying to straighten out his life. Had something absolutely horrendous happen to him the day before. He got blind drunk. He got in his car. He drove his car. He didn't hurt anybody else. He drove his car into a wall and he broke his leg and da-da-da. Now, he was put into a Category A prison, right? He was a very soft, very sweet person. All I will say is, it didn't do him or society any bloody good what happened to him in there. And it didn't deal with the problem. So I'm taking it away from Katie now. I think it's tragic for everybody involved and just tragic for her kids.
Yeah, important to balance out opinions here. Kerry Smith, I don't know how you can feel sorry for Katie Price. It's all self-inflicted, all for the publicity and the money. And it's
I don't agree.
But it's difficult, isn't it, when you're presented with just one image of her, that it's difficult to sort of shake that.
I understand why people would think that, but and I would have thought that before I got to know her, and it's not as simple as that. It's just not as one-dimensional as that. There's a lot of stuff that actually people might think they know everything about Katie, but actually there's a whole lot of other stuff as well. And she has chosen to live her life very publicly, and she's made multiple mistakes for sure. But I can always find empathy for people because I don't really believe people are just bad. I think, you know.
Sean Thomas says everyone needs to be careful about Katie Price. Let's remember Caroline Flack. And there are many other instances where I think being drunk or drugged behind a wheel, there seems to be a societal pick and choose who you want to be cross with. Obviously, there was Ant. There was also George Michael was often found, comatose in his car.
Do you remember when he drove into the wind?
Into the snappy snaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's no justification of that. But it is always curious to see how there's a rush to condemn some and there's not a rush to condemn others. Or there's an explanation.
Because a lot of people don't like Katie.
Yeah.
And I understand that because Katie I totally understand that. But I just think, also we have to remember in every situation there are other stories, there are things going on for people that we don't know. And she's a mum of 4 kids, and I know a lot of people will just think, oh, she's brought this on herself.
Yeah.
But
Heidi Lawrence, I have very mixed emotions over this. I usually really like her, but this for me has taken it too far. She just keeps making these mistakes over and over again.
Just awful. Can you imagine what it's like for a mum and a brother and everybody? My God. It's so, not at this point.
Okay, well...
When somebody is in the grip of drink and addictions, the knock-on effect for all the people around, the ripple of five kids. Sorry, I keep saying 4 kids. She's got 5 kids. Jesus Christ. I mean, they're saying she might get a sentence for this.
Oh yeah, very, very possibly.
Yeah,
what
Mum's
did someone
so
say?
poorly.
The Mrs. Nikki XXX, Ant McPartlin got support, Caroline Flack got slated. So
Exactly. I mean, Ant McPartlin was drunk at the wheel, and he crashed a car. But I just didn't see any anger towards him. It's really funny. Carries on winning awards. There was understanding. He came out. He said he had addiction problems to painkillers, and everyone sort of let that go. And I think that was right, because he got help
But
and he got.
Yeah.
But nobody. I don't think many people will even look for maybe anything in their heart for Katie.
Yeah, any shred of sympathy. I'm just going to flick you back to Wi-Fi, because I think 4G is staggering a bit. I'm back. Didn't do it.
Probably.
Back yet. Sorry, just one sec. Yeah, go for it.
Few people saying there was a lot of anger against Dan. Yeah, you're probably right, actually.
Yeah.
I'm probably wrong to say there wasn't any. I suppose what I mean is that he's still winning awards, he's still adored, he's still top TV presenter, all of that hasn't impacted on his life, it seems.
Yeah,
Would you say that's right?
Well, as you just said, it kind of slipped through a bit there. I think that's how people should be. There should be a degree of understanding, no sanctioning or justification. There needs to be some, but I think going towards some kind of rehab
Exactly.
or some
That's what she.
correction.
Well, she has been to rehab, but she needs to go back. See, the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is rehab doesn't necessarily happen once. It's a very complex thing. Mental health. If you've been medicating with drink and drugs, sometimes people have to go back numerous times. Look at Robert Downey Jr. How many times did he have to go back?
Absolutely. Louise Pritchard, very fair point. How many driving incidents has Katie had, though? My daughter learnt her lesson after 1, as did I. Not as many as Katie, and did it once.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
you're right.
it's a fair
You're
point.
right. Listen, I'm agreeing with absolutely everything that you're all saying, but at the same time, I'm also finding sympathy, because what I hope is, because she does need to take proper responsibility this time. I don't think it's like, let's give her one more chance, because nobody's hurt, and maybe this is her rock bottom.
News
where
just
she'll
breaking.
actually get-
Katie Price has been charged. She's been charged with driving while disqualified and without insurance. Will appear in court today, and that's what her formal charge is. She was remanded in custody. And obviously family and friends are rallying around her. So literally that's just broken on the Daily Mail.
It's just horrible. It's just horrible. And I would feel that for anybody that's got themselves in that kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But she has to take responsibility now and do everything to get well. For herself, for her kids, for everyone. Because, like you say, there's nothing more dangerous than driving when drunk.
Faye Gargaro, very true point. Take her licence away so she can't drive at all. I mean, sometimes
She doesn't have a licence.
Oh, right. Really?
She hasn't got a licence.
Oh, Christ.
That's what I mean. She's on a ban.
Right, okay. Yes.
That's why I think she's in real danger of getting a custodial this
I
time.
thought you would say custard pie.
I mean, some would say that it's time to, because if she keeps on doing it, then...
That's kind of tough love by the state, in a sense. Shall we move on to something a little bit more light-hearted as we reach the end? We're going to keep dreams and dreaming for the weekend, because there's a really nice story in a science journal about dreams and dreaming, and I thought it's one of those things we've never really talked about, and remembering dreams. So between now and the weekend, guys, your homework is to try and remember your dreams, or perhaps try and remember some of your worst dreams, your nightmares, all that sort of stuff, and we'll talk about it at the weekend. But last night, it was the glitz and glam and the relative normality of a premiere in central London, and cinemas and famous people and stars and everyone turning up to the premiere of the new James Bond film. And I don't know why, I felt slightly, not festive, but I thought, oh, that's nice. And it's got good reviews. It's got good reviews. This final, this new final episode of Daniel Craig's
The last one
Residency.
I saw, I was bored shitless.
Yes, so was I.
I was like, oh, get me out.
So I felt kind of hopeful. So obviously all the cast were there.
Kate Middleton was the best. She just looked absolutely
Oh my God!
exquisite.
Yeah, I woke up this morning. Look at her
Look
there.
at her.
I mean, I woke up this morning and I thought, well, I'm not usually one for dresses, but she looked remarkable. Remarkable.
I mean, totally remarkable. I haven't seen the moving image yet. I've just seen the photos.
Shall I just quickly show you, just so that you can...
Stunning. Look at this dress.
Let me just quickly show you.
Goldfinger. Doesn't it make you think of it? Look at the beading on the shoulders. It's I think it's Caroline Packman. Beckman, I think is the designer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, English designer.
She
Beautiful.
looks stunning. And apparently Prince William... Now, Daniel Craig's pink suit, I think he looked a little bit like he was alarmed by it.
What do you think about the black tie with the raspberry crush jacket?
Have you seen that? Go to the Popcorn Junkies Instagram and you'll see all the images there. He was on the red carpet and he was interviewed about any advice. He was asked any advice for the next James Bond. And I really...
Kimu was happy with the way he looked. She went, oh my fucking God, he looks so fit.
He was asked about any advice for the incoming James Bond and he said, not my problem.
Tell me he didn't say, I hate him. I cannot stand Daniel Craig.
I was rooting for him to be warm.
Rude.
I was rooting for him to be warm and
He
kind of...
didn't say that.
Well, he kind of said, oh, well, it's not my problem.
Oh,
I mean, even
it
to
makes
say
me
that is
sick.
frustrating.
He's moaned so much about being James. Oh, I get bored. Oh, God. It's like, well, but how much did he earn last year? It's
Well,
like the
that's
tens
to do
of
with
millions.
Knives Out, isn't it?
It's disgusting.
Lashana Lynch
Have a
looked
bit of
beautiful.
gratitude.
Who obviously Lashana Lynch, she for a moment in this new film, she takes on the 007 identity,
She's
doesn't she? Because I
stunning,
think
isn't
Daniel
she?
Craig at the beginning of the film is retired. Ana de Armas is just
Stunning.
beautiful. She's in Knives Out and.
Oh, she's so lovely. I
Yeah.
love her face.
And she's playing Marilyn Monroe in the forthcoming film about, well, it's not about her life, but it's based on fiction. But she had a bit of an accident, didn't she, where I think her boob popped out, which the Daily Mail kind of seized upon quite quickly. And then Léa Seydoux, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, she was his love interest from the last film. She was there. I thought everyone looked rather beautiful. And but I have to say, I think Kate...
Oh, let's see the dress twinkling.
Kate looked absolutely
show them.
stunning. Okay, coming back in, guys.
Oh, look, Daniel
There we go.
Craig nearly cracked a smile at Kate. Not quite, though. Look at the beading on that, girls. Oh, my God. Is she not going to turn round?
No, that's just it's a
We don't want to see him. We want to see her.
Yeah, no, I know. But if I watch the full video, you'll get an advert and it'll be really boring.
Okay.
Oh, but look, there she is. Look, that's rather beautiful, isn't it?
God, look at her hair.
Look there. Daniel Craig saying, I really hated being James Bond,
Yeah.
actually, Kate. I don't know how you feel about it.
He's
Look
quite
at her there.
short, isn't he? He's
look-
shorter than her.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, his inside leg is 30, don't you know? Apparently, Prince William got a bit shy with all the stars. Look there. Having a chat with Prince Charles. Prince Charles is looking a bit red, isn't he?
That was all that walking.
There she is, beautiful, 007 for, I think, half an hour in the film. And there's Ana de Armas. Prince William saying, I do apologise for your breast
Stunning
popping out.
dress.
Isn't she? She's beautiful. She really is.
God.
Judi Dench was
You know
there.
what? I felt a bit sorry
That's
because
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
she looked stunning as well. But you see Billie Eilish, go back.
Yes.
Now, Billie Eilish has covered
Where is she?
herself up completely again. Did you see all the hate she got when she wore
Yes.
that beautiful dress?
Yes.
And look, she's all covered up again.
Yeah. There's there's Prince. Oh, there was a love. This was a
love
lovely
her
moment.
earrings.
There was a lovely moment where she looked so happy to see him, and she gave him a
back.
kiss. Hello.
Look at the jewels on that. Look at it. I mean, that will have just sparkled like nothing
Yeah,
else.
absolutely. And
Oh, she looks lovely.
there we go. There's
Camilla.
Camilla. And there's Ben Whishaw. He's very sweet. Look, doesn't she look gorgeous?
All right.
I mean, she looks. I think I've got a crush on her. Look at her. Look at her.
No, she's beautiful.
Well, there you go. I thought that would be a nice little.
For a while, a year or so ago, she was going really like frumpy, wasn't she? Dressing way beyond her years in the way that the royals do. And she's really found her stride again.
I thought she matched every one of the stars.
Oh, absolutely.
In the movie there.
I think Camilla looks exquisite.
Elijah says, when I grow up, I want to be Judi Dench. Classy
Me
lady.
too.
Yeah, she really is a classy lady. So there you go.
And apparently she's such enormous fun. I know lots of people that
Yeah.
work with her, and they said when Judy's on the set, all you hear is laughter all day. She's so joyful.
I don't know whether it's because he's got such strikingly blue eyes, but he looks slightly alarmed to be there, Daniel Craig.
But he probably has something better to do. Knowing him.
Rhys Roberts, Daniel Craig seems to have a very combative nature
He
when it comes to being
does.
interviewed. Between Graham Norton on Friday and Clara Amfo on the red carpet, he's very reluctant and creates an awkwardness.
That's why I can't stand him.
Bristly, isn't he, Rhys? He's bristly.
Literally, I know exactly what sort of a person he is when he comes in the makeup room. I hate that kind of term, that kind of actor, presenter, whatever. I know them so well. No, so they come in and they immediately intimidate everybody by being a bit off.
Oh, here we go. Look, this is the bit of the interview, I think. Let me just get past this advert, and then I'll turn you around and you can watch it. And it's less about what he says; it's as much about the tone with which he says it. It's so sort of I gotta hope Rachel Weisz gets a sort of more sort of carefree
She's
and
gorgeous.
playful Daniel Craig, because whenever I see him in it, but maybe he's just been burnt so many times he's got a total antipathy towards all journalists, you know, and some people do. Love you called him a turn, says Ellen. All right, okay.
Guys, hit the like button just underneath. We've been here nearly 40 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So just 1 second. Yeah, do hit the like button, guys. I'm
Hit
just
the
going to
like button underneath us.
show you the interview. Let's.
Only if you've liked spending
Yeah.
time with us.
Yeah, of course.
If you haven't done.
Let's do this.
Moment to be here.
I wish it wasn't raining, but what are you going to do?
Oh, he's moaning.
In London.
Good to see the rest of the cast again.
Yeah, very good.
Okay.
Oh.
There's a lot, as we spoke about earlier, there's a lot hanging by this film. Are you confident this is going to be the one to bring us all out to the cinema?
Listen, I don't know. It's up to the film gods to decide that. I'm not,
just say yes.
All I know is that we made a very beautiful movie. And I
Oh,
can't wait for you.
wanker.
This is the premiere of your final Bond.
Oh, here we go.
Like you said goodbye quite a while ago, really.
No. No, not at all. No.
What?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Oh my God! How dare you be that rude? How dare you be that rude with all that privilege? Oh my God! I hate him even
I've
more.
not seen that clip.
I hate him.
I've not seen that clip. What do we think of that, guys?
Miserable scrote. He's got.
So she was
Look,
referring
let's
back
just
to obviously him
remember
saying-
all the actors that are struggling through the bloody pandemic.
Leslie
You've got the
Sargent,
best
what a
job in
dick.
the world. What a dick. You've got you've got the most beautiful wife, you've got a nice pink jacket on, and you can't fucking crack a smile. I don't know. What he said there was, I don't care. Do you know what? We shouldn't go and watch that bloody film. Oh my God, he makes me so angry. We've had people like that on
It
the
is
show, and you
Silk,
just go,
honey.
oh, fuck off. If you don't want to be on telly, then just bog off.
Yeah, Chris,
Do you know what?
Chris
He'd be
White. It'd be
pissed.
nice if it was The Guardian.
These people would get so pissed off if those people didn't stand in there. That girl's
Yes.
probably been standing in that rain
Yes.
for 2 hours before he got there.
Yeah.
No care for other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disgusting.
Nanny Di in the room. Hello. Are you going to see the
I really
Bond
hate
film?
starry stars. I just hate them so much. That's why I hate interviewing famous people.
James Flanagan. He needs shaken and stirred.
He really does.
There's a lot of expletives being used here. Yeah, look, that is very funny the way he's got a nice pink jacket on, L44. Well, there you
he
go.
has. He's got that. Do you know how much that jacket, his outfit,
Ford,
because I
I guess,
know how
no?
these things work, from top to toe, he will have been in thousands of pounds worth of clothes. The privilege of this man. Every single thing he wants, he is given. And he walks down there like a complete pink cock.
Oh, dearie me.
Yeah,
and you
that
can
jacket
quote her on
could
that.
pay off French's. Sorry, I couldn't get your name. Fish sticks.
Pay off my
95.
student loan.
Whole student loan. He can't be bothered.
Yeah. Rhys Roberts has also had a massive payday between Knives Out and Bond, but acts like he hasn't gotten an opportunity. I mean, I have to say,
He says he's bored with doing
I haven't
Bond.
seen.
He said that.
Yeah, be kind, CK is saying.
No. Oh, for him, he's got to be kind. I'm not going to be kind.
Yeah,
this is one person I'm not going to be kind with. Right.
Oh, very smart, CK. What was I going to say? Will you be going to see the Bond movie? Will you be going to see the Bond movie?
No.
Yes or
No
no? Yes or no? Will you
way.
be going to see the Bond movie?
After that, he's basically told us that he doesn't give a shit whether the audience is. Well, it's up
Yeah,
to
no,
the
he has. It's
audience.
up to the film gods. I have to confess, that wasn't the clip I was expecting to show you. I thought I was going to see the one
don't wanna
where...
see any more,
I thought I was
'cause
going to
I'm
see
so
the one where
angry now.
they did ask him, any advice for the incoming Bond? And he said, no, it's not my
Not
problem.
my problem.
Yeah. Chris White will be going to see it. I'm going to see it because, of course,
Don't
we will be
tell me
reviewing
about
it on the Popcorn Junkies. It's had good reviews. And, of course, there are countless other members of the cast for whom it's an important
Exactly.
moment in
and,
their career.
And actually, it's very important for the movie industry, so I probably will go and see it, but I'll be throwing up. I'll take a sick bag with me.
Someone just said he's a something ball bag. And I think on that note, we should do the
Molly
two
26
birthdays.
Rose says he's a sanctimonious toss.
Right, there you go. Okay, well, let's stop that now. So, so a couple of happy birthdays. Jessica Frost. Jessica Frost.
Can you hit the like button, guys? We've been here 45 minutes hanging out with you guys. That must mean that you've quite liked us. So hit the like button just underneath where we're sitting, and we'd love that.
Jessica
Happy
Frost
birthday,
to
Jessica
you.
Frost. Happy birthday, Jessica Frost.
Happy
Happy birthday, dear Jessica Frost. Happy birthday to you.
And it's Grace's 50th happy birthday. That's a biggie.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Grace.
Happy birthday to you. Oh my God, I've just got angry again. Just seen the
Stay calm.
advert for Amazon,
Stay
the
calm.
shop where there's no shopkeepers, more jobs lost, that you can just go in and then you can get charged
God,
later.
What's she going to say?
And when you think of Bezos,
Bezos.
that's his name, isn't
Yeah,
it?
Bezos.
Thanking all the Amazon workers
For the $5 billion it cost
for
to
the
get
$5
to
billion it cost him
for
to
a
go for a
4-minute
4-minute
trip
trip
into
to
space.
space.
Nanny Di asking, hiya, are we all going to see James Bond?
Not me, I can't stand him. Then.
Okay, guys, look, have a lovely day. There
We
is
love
definitely
you.
a home time landing later today. Enjoy